Yeah, you know what I could do? Tell you about when we came to America. Actually, when we left South Africa when I was about 8. I can tell you the whole story. I remember every minute of it. Yeah, I was 8, almost 9 years old, and this was in the beginning of August of 1982. I can tell you how we came to be in America. I mean, because there was apartheid going on, and my dad didn't want us to be, me and my sister, to be living in that. And my mom died in 1980, so it was like he wanted us to get away from all that. She died from pneumonia, so it was like, okay, I don't, I don't know. My grandfather and grandmother came to visit South Africa in 1980. They've been living in America since what, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s. So they were in America. They were missionaries, so they were all around the place. And so they came to visit for Christmas in 1980. And I was like the first time I actually remember meeting them, because I mean they were gone when I was born in '73. So I mean from then I didn't really, they might have visited like when I was a baby, but so yeah, it was good. Except for the fact my mom died that year. It was the year that my mom died. So it was that Christmas later in the. So my grandfather, I guess my dad must have said, "Oh, you can talk to the consulate on our behalf, American consulate, to kind of get us to come to America." And I think my dad was probably thought it would take a while, but my grandfather did. He talked to them, and then they were like, "Yeah, we can have him come to America." And it was like, I don't know if he knew it was going to happen that quick. Yeah, I don't know. I was like, and then we eventually came to America, man. It's like, yo, we're going to America. We're gonna move to America. And then we were like, oh, I was kind of sad when that happened. I was like, I won't see this anymore. I think we were downtown Cape Town, and I was like, oh man, I love Cape Town. I love living here. It's great. I got my family. But I was also curious about America. I didn't want to live in America, but I was curious to visit America. And so yeah, so we left, I don't know, like early August 1982. The flight, I think it was like a Friday night. I remember it was like August, so that's like our winter, like late in the winter. I remember that it was kind of a cold night, kind of like a cold, kind of misty, rainy kind of night. I remember that. And then my family all came to see us off at the airport in South Africa, Cape Town. And it was like, okay, everybody was there. All my family came, and my school teacher, Mrs. Vandenberg, she was there, and everybody came to visit see us. And we was like there, and my brother Granville came late. He was like, I thought you guys were in domestic flights. I remember him saying that. And he came, and everybody was there, and it was like, yeah, see you, hugs. And then we got on the plane. I remember I was walking towards where the plane, it was like attached to the terminal. So I was like, oh, it was a South African Airlines flight. So we got on the plane. And it was one of those things. Everybody was like kind of in a good mood. It was like, because it was South Africans on the plane, and we were all talking to each other. That's how we are. We like talk to each other. We actually do that. And we were always talking to each other. And I remember I went, because I was a little kid, but I was talking to the people, and everyone was happy, and people was just kind of being South Africans. It was pretty cool. And I remember, and then it was a night flight, and then we got, we had the meal, the night meal. It was overnight. Yeah, I was talking. Everybody fell asleep, and then we slept. It was like a 16-hour flight we were heading from Cape Town to London. So, but the stop in Las Palmas, so we were heading for Las Palmas. So I remember, and then I remember the sun coming up on the right side, because we were on the left side of the plane. I was on the window seat. My dad and sister were next to me, and and I remember, I remember then we landed in Las Palmas for like a half an hour, and everybody got off, and it was like so sad because everybody was leaving. It was all South African. I think they were on vacation or something. A lot of them were on vacation. So it was like, and then they were all gone. It was like, oh, now it's all sad, and I was all quiet in there. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Because other people got on, but they weren't South African, so it was like, it wasn't like, people from other countries aren't as open as we are towards each other, South Africa. But so the flight from Las Palmas to London was a shorter one, shorter flight, and then we landed at Heathrow. We landed on the fields on the not by the terminal. So, and then we got off, and a bus came, picked us all up, took us to the terminal, and my aunt and uncle and my cousin were there to pick us up, and we went to their house, and stayed there for a couple of weeks. It was cool. The thing I remember from the car ride to their house was a lot of open, big estates and open, grass areas, and it was like, where is everything? To see this, occasionally see how big the house, and it was like, yeah, they lived in Richmond, Surrey, so it was like, a little bit of a distance from the airport. It wasn't too close, but it was, and yeah, Richmond, Surrey, and then we stayed there for a few weeks, and it was fun. I loved London. It was great. I mean, we visited some of my dad's friends from South Africa who moved there. They were staying in Wimbledon. We visited there. We went in the tube, and we went. Where else we go? We saw Buckingham Palace. We saw Westminster Abbey. We saw all this place. We saw like where they used to like behead, people. It was still there. Where people were buried and stuff. Officially. I think Mary Queen of Scots was beheaded there or something, and something like that. But yeah, and it was great. I loved it. And it's great. I remember eating grilled cheese sandwiches and hot chocolate. It was great, and it was fun, and it was just so much fun. And then yeah, we'd just visit people. We'd go to the bookstore, hang in the parks. I remember the first time I ever ate at McDonald's was in London that time. This is in 1982, right? August 1982. So it's like they never even heard of McDonald's. They're like, you want a McDonald's? You want a hamburger? I was like, oh, yeah, hamburger. I know what a hamburger is. I don't know what McDonald's is, though. And so we had I think a Big Mac. I wasn't used to that. I remember not being too impressed. So yeah, and then we stayed there, and then I remember the last day that we were in London. Yeah, my aunt took us to a bookstore, and she's like, "Hey, pick any book you want." And I think I picked a couple. It was like a Winnie the Pooh book, and then it was a book about the Battle of the Little Big Horn. So that was our present, a goodbye present. So like, yeah, and then we got on the plane. And remember when we took the plane, it was British Airways to go to America. It was a flight from London to Chicago. We were gonna stay with my uncle and aunt in Chicago, so and my grandparents were staying there too. So the flight, and I remember I had a cap gun, and then the flight we were late for the flight, and then I had the cap gun in the bag, and they were like, "Oh, we gotta see the gun." They were like, "Okay, you can't just have a gun in the thing." It was a cap gun. It wasn't like it was about as metal, and it looked like an old Colt revolver. So, and then they were like, just go ahead. They were trusted. That was back then when they actually trusted you a little bit, even though there was terrorism happening right then. But it wasn't like that. And we almost missed the flight, and I was hoping that we would miss the flight, because I remember not wanting to go. I remember wanting to stay in London. I loved it so much. So I loved it. It was like so much like South Africa. It was like the people like South Africa. We talked like them. We used the same lingo. So it was like South Africa, but not South Africa. So it felt like South Africa. So that's why I liked it, I think, because it was so much like South Africa. And so, but we almost missed the flight. I was hoping that we would miss the flight, but we didn't miss the flight. So we got on British Airways. But we weren't staying together. Me and my sister and my dad sat apart from me. So I was sitting next to this American guy, I remember. And he was a nice guy. He was like a young guy. I couldn't remember his name, but he was really nice. He sat next to me, and he would talk to me about America and stuff like that, and made me feel better about things on the plane. Because my dad was like sitting in the back, and my sister was sitting. So it was like a 9-hour flight of not being with my. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting that we were sitting all together, but I guess not. So we got there. The flight was fast, and then we got to Chicago, to O'Hare, and then we landed. My family was there waiting, and then that was August 16th, 1982 when we landed in America, and that was like, bye America. It was new, so it was fun at first, and then it was like, oh, and then you get to meet the Americans, get to know them, and I don't know. One of the reasons why I like London so much, because I like the people. They're very well mannered. Americans, you just meet them, they just say whatever they want. They're say whatever they're thinking. You know what I mean? They have no filter, and it's like, what's that? It's like, yeah, I mean, freedom of speech is nice, but it's like some of these people in America, I don't know, they just say, they don't. I see why the Dems, some people just don't say the right thing, and it's like, well, they have the right to say whatever crappy thing they want to say, but that's kind of, that can be hurtful to people. They're not, you know, it's just, but they think it's okay because they do it. So that's the thing with Americans. It's like, America geographically is a great country. Just the people, just the way they are, because of the Constitution saying they can just be any kind of crap way that they want to be, and they go, okay, and then I will, and they do. So yeah, okay, this video went on too long, but yeah, but that was kind of an abridged version of the coming to America from South Africa. No, I could get more into detail, but I don't want to.